I am a representative from Ashtar Command.
Hi, thank you for coming. What is your view on the current situation in the solar system?
What is what?
What is your outlook on the current situation in the solar system?
It looks better than it did. Of course, we are keeping a close eye on other things. Let me tell you this. There are friendly reptilians here, and there are unfriendly reptilians here. There are friendly grays here, and there are unfriendly grays here. So, but we can tell them apart by the color of their skin and their basic look. The Eliashondai Zendi are friendly. They look a little bit like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a little bit, and the friendly grays are much smaller and in size. The grays that are harmful are larger and they look much more determined, if you know what I mean, their facial expressions. The other reptilians, the Zeta reptilians, are, you can tell by their actions, they have more of a crocodile kind of uh, look. Their faces are a little bit more elongated, but they are not zespoid. The zespoids are also have sort of a slightly elongated beak as well, or muzzle, whatever you want to call it. But these ones have more of an alligator crocodile look. So yes, and they have taken over several stations at one time. They were around Neptune and they took over Triton Station. They took over Titania Station on Uranus. They took over the Garoom Station around Pluto. And that's as far as they got with their takeover. Those stations are now back under our command.
So, how big is their presence now?
They're still here, but they're on smaller moons, I should say, smaller moons. They are not on the larger planets, because the larger planets are not really inhabitable by them. So they have they are uh, they are on Phobos. They are on um, they are still near Europa, around that area. There's some very small moons around Jupiter that they are on, and around Saturn a little bit. So they still have a few places where they are, but they are not in a place of great strategy. They do affect the Ganymede wormhole sometimes.
What's their influence on the on the planet on Earth's planet?
They are trying to regroup. We know that they are regrouping outside of the solar system. There's several mother ships, as they were called, about 1 light year off of outside the solar system near Alpha Centauri. They are not in Alpha Centauri, but they are close by it.
What's their influence on our planet?
I cannot hear you.
What's their influence on our planet?
They want to, um, they're actually mercenaries that are hired by higher dimensional beings, such as the Eliakim Devor, which is 8th dimensional. These beings believe that the ascension process is destroying or will destroy their future. And it's a long, involved story about how our ascension is going to release many different belief systems into the universe and the galaxy, and that it will affect many of the higher dimensional areas eventually and destroy some of the thought processes that they believe and hold dear. So they are against the earth having an illuminated process, an ascension process, or even an evolution. They're not sure which one of these events is the cause of the problem, but they know that they want to stop, if they can, any progression that the earth is taking right now until they find out what is actually going on, because their computers are prognosticating that there is going to be trouble in their futures with belief systems and things coming out of the ascension or out of the evolution process.
Who is in charge of the planet, of our planet at the moment? Who is controlling the situation? Who is still controlling the economy and
Well,
the
the cabal still runs your planet but in a much looser way than they did, because they are also regrouping, but they are going to take a stronger hold soon, we believe. And we're trying to find the reptilians that are giving them intel and giving them supplies from out here, because they have an advanced system that we cannot see them giving or communicating with the cabal, but we know that they do. We have 1 second and 2 second snapshots of things that are going on through the Earth atmosphere from outer space here, and it does look like it's gray and reptilian based.
this dark fleet? How big was its influence on Cabal until it was kicked out?
The dark fleet, there is still some of it around in right outside of the solar system, but it did have a lot of control. There were people on your planet that were taken into the dark fleet that were captains and lieutenants, sergeants, and even warriors for them. They wanted to get intel on what planet Earth was really like, so they abducted some of these people at an early age and cloned them, and then used those clones to fly airplanes, become captains. Of course, they chose carefully who they wanted to abduct and clone, because they wanted leadership abilities, and they wanted more of a dark thought process when they were doing this. So they were looking for people that were not really brought up in very positive atmospheres and were able to fit into the darker scenarios.
The fight is not over. The Cabal is still in charge, and it still has dark plans.
At this point, yes, but many of those things are put on hold. There's some, because of the wars that are happening, because of the weather, they are also controlling some of this weather, but not very well.
So how stable do you think the economy is? Do you have any clue when it's going to crash, or if it's going to crash?
We have no idea. I think that there has been many different predictions about when the economy is going to crash. Many people are very concerned about that, but let me tell you this, it won't matter, because everyone will be affected equally, except for those that have gold, and they will not be as affected as badly, but still affected quite radically.
So we noticed that internet became way better in rural areas. So some forces, obviously, we think it's like central secret government is uh, financing the internet, construction of internet in rural areas in poor countries, and they kind of wanted to plug everybody into internet. What's their interest in that? Why do they want it?
Greater surveillance is one of things. It covers up some of their surveillance opportunities, and they can do more surveillance when there's Wi-Fi and more waves in the air. They're not as easily detected. They can ride on top of these waves and not be detected with their surveillance, with their some of their radar capacities can ride on top of these these waves that are being distributed. And so it is to their advantage that they put as much of this into play as possible so they are not detected.
Let's now dream about the most positive scenario. Suppose the cabal is loses the control one way or another. What can come instead? When I look at people, I don't see them actually being able to self-govern much. So what is your look? How would planet convert to a better path if cabal loses control?
When the cabal loses control, there will be first contact then. That they will know when that happens. The first contact will happen in a way that will be very peaceful and very quick, but very peaceful and very inobtrusive, innovasive, and they will help the governments to find better ways to do whatever it is that they are lacking in, and it will be a much better place. Also, there are other things going to be happening with spiritual things, and so the spirituality of the planet will change as well. So we can predict perhaps that with those things coming, things will have a greater outlook.
What are the forces on the planet which are positive? Is Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos doing any good stuff? Are you collaborating with them?
They are doing good things. They are very third dimensional in their work. They are not spiritually guided, but they are doing good third dimensional work and trying to advance the human race.
In communication with them, do you like collaborate?
They have communicated with us. We have spoken to them briefly. We cannot give away our positions or our frequencies, so we spoke to them in a very unobtrusive way so that we could hear what they were planning and give them assistance if it was a positive agenda.
Are they now permitted by the Galactic Federation to make bases in the space and on the moon and Mars and other places?
They are permitted because these planets are not claimed. Mars is claimed, but Mars is subterranean. They do not care about the surface at this point, so they may claim the surface if they wish, and other places are not claimed. So there is permission to do what they wish to do.
So how about the light workers on the ground, like people who are not involved in who are independent. How about independent light workers? There is a lot of people here who are wishing to help you guys, but are not directly involved. Are you somehow involved in them?
We see that happening. We see that there are people there that are independents, as you call them. Their energies are very good. But remember this, there are some that have been great light workers that are now fallen into conspiracy theories and negative thought processes and must get out of that before they can advance.
Aren't conspiracy theories true?
No, not all of them. How are you going to know which ones are true and which ones are not? Many of these places that give the conspiracy theories are started by the Chinese and the Russians. They have Americans out front doing the talking. However, they are backed by the people that want to divide the American people.
Are you an American?
No,
I see. Thanks.
some of these conspiracy theories are American based, but the ones that are doing the worst damage and the greatest separations are not American based.
Give an example of what is not true.
An example of what is not true?
Yeah.
I do not want to get into your politics, but I do think that there are many things in your political realm, many things in your social realms that they are trying to pollute people's minds against other individuals and pollute thought processes about what is happening with the governments and saying untruths about what is real.
So I recently I realized that possibly the government and the rich people, they still don't know who is controlling them. Do they know? Do they actually know who is manipulating them?
No, they cannot know. They are very third dimensional. They are not really looking into all these different thought processes about the cabal or the higher leadership above them. The CEOs of some of these companies get information supposedly from other CEOs around the world, but some of those communications are actually cabal.
The most surprising to me is that the media is well controlled and the messages are well synchronized and they come from some center. And I cannot say that center yet.
I cannot hear you.
So who is controlling the media? How does the cabal control the media? What's the mechanism?
The cabal owns all the news areas, even though they own them from a distance. They still have put up the money and are controlling what news comes on and off. However, regular news is happening as well. So some things are reported correctly because they have to be. There's a lot of people around and a lot of people were there to see what is actually happening. And so when that occurs, they cannot falsify the news when there are so many witnesses. So, but the problem with the news is not that it is not being reported, but it is being opinionated. There is opinions about the news that are incorrect. There are opinions about what are happening that are incorrect. There are attitudes about what is happening that are incorrect. And the news is slanted by these things. They have truth in them because they have to have, but they are slanted by these things.
So the opinions have to be delivered simultaneously to the whole bunch of news systems, and Cabal tries to keep itself hidden. So how possibly can it deliver things fast if it goes through layers and layers of protection? That's my question.
Yes, there are many faces to the cabal. There are a few major players in the cabal that hand off information to CEOs or representatives that take the news to different places, how they want it to be reported. There are actual cabal representatives in the news stations so that they can have more control over how it's brought forth. And these people are in charge of they are the writers and some of those that are involved with the writing of the news. So that is partially how it is brought about.
The speed that it happens is hours. Within 5 hours, the news is spread and interpretations are spread. So
Absolutely.
It comes from a central place, and yet it is hidden through layers of protection. It's hard to believe that it goes through people. There should be some technology that circumvents people and gets to the news agencies.
Well, you
Is
have to
there like
remember, some of these events are in control by the cabal and they know what's going to happen. So they already know what's going to happen, so they can already start their planning on how to report it. So if they already know what's going to happen, they can report on it immediately to their writers and tell them. There are some things that happen that are not cabal messaged, but they are slanted by their writers.
okay? So there is a bigger time period when they can prepare.
Yes.
So there is no supernatural technology, unfortunate technology involved in controlling the news media.
No
They're not.
technologies. The technologies would be found out. The reasons why they don't use technologies is because there are many hackers out there. There are many that are very intelligent about airwaves, about signaling, about all the things that are going through the airwaves and surveillance, the army, all kinds of things. It is hard to get by those. And so the best way to do it is to plan ahead.
I was thinking that some sort of telepathy was used to control, to deliver the opinions.
Telepathy is used, yes, but not as much as you think.
Maybe implants and mind control.
A little bit, yes, depending on where they are, how they have to control the situation. If they have to, they will use the mind control and the telepathy.
In most cases, they end up just sending the message the old way through people.
I didn't get that.
But normally they don't use supernatural technology. They use just direct messaging through people and internet.
Yes, it's much more, it's much safer, it's easier, and it's actually more effective. Direct communication is more effective. It's less hard to miscommunicate.
Thank you. I'm also very interested in the history of Nazi as they lost the war. How did they move to this space, and how many of them are there?
How many of them are in space?
Yeah, the German Nazi after they lost the war. What happened to them?
They traveled all over the world incognito. They had plastic surgery, some of them, and changed their names, changed their passports. They had a very good uh, connection or uh, a lot of different things. Some of them did leave the planet with the group known as the Nords, but there were very few, only scientists.
So, so are there like colonies of their descendants right now in solar system?
Are there what?
Are there colonies of their descendants in the solar system?
Oh, yes, there are colonies of humans. There are a couple of Germans there, yes. Most of the ones that have escaped are now in South America or uh, South Africa or Australia. They went to the Southern Hemisphere. They also go to Antarctica.
Like underground cities on the planet which are controlled, which are Nazi cities, German Nazi.
There are not Nazi cities underground, but there are stations still in many different places. But I wouldn't call them cities. They're more like bases.
So how big is their influence?
Not as big as you might think. They were, since they lost the war, they're not as connected in thought processes as they used to be. There are several different factions. Many of them are too old to even be a part of it, but their children are.
So they are not the basis of the Dark Fleet, which you're fighting.
Yes, the Dark Fleet is outside of the solar system, but they used to be quite numerous inside of the solar system because they were not in the third dimension. They were in a higher dimension. They could shift between fourth and fifth. And so they were around the planet quite a lot, trying to get as many humans into their army as possible because it was beneficial.
Trying to estimate the connection between German Nazi and the Dark Fleet.
They are different. The Dark Fleet is alien. The German Nazis were connected to aliens, the Nords, mostly. There were other aliens involved with the Nazis, but it is that they were not reptilians or grays. The Dark Fleet is more in that category.
Thank you very much. I have about 15 minutes left. I wonder if we could invite anyone from the Pleiadian Nordics, maybe the good ones or the bad ones, but
the Nords, yes.
yeah, the Nords. I would like to speak to them. I'm very interested in their culture.
Very well. One moment.
Thank you very much for the conversation.
You are welcome. What is it that you seek?
Thank you for coming. I'm interested in the culture of North and your involvement with the planet in the history and now.
That would be our some of the people from our world were involved with that. They were trying to control that planet, and they saw an opportunity. So they went there and they discussed what they could do for the German armies and the leadership. They found Hitler to be quite interesting, but he was also not quite stable. So they decided that it would be a good time for them to be there and to work with them, because eventually the stability of the government would be handed over to them, because Hitler promised them it would be if they won the war. So they were giving their scientists opportunities to backward engineer some of their technology in ships. And Hitler was so amazed by them that he started the Aryan race, or believed that an Aryan race would be the best, because that's what the Nords, that's what we look like. We're very blonde, blue-eyed, and we are very tall, masculine, and muscular. Beautiful, beautiful people compared to humans in some ways, and taller and more physical. So he wanted the earth to be populated by this kind of being. And he was convinced that that was the future of the planet.
You guys mixed with humans at that time and produce some hybrids.
There were hybrids, and there's still hybrids on your planet from that time.
How many?
Perhaps a few hundred at the beginning, but then it multiplied, because as they got older, they had children as well. So it's more like in the 2,000 to 3,000 range at this point.
Hybridization programs.
I cannot hear you.
Do you run your own hybridization programs right now?
No, our part of the planet will hand off DNA to other places for hybridization, but we do not have time for a hybridization program here, and we don't see a need for it.
So the Aryans and Nords, is there like a genetic connection? Are you the same?
Yes, there are connections. We
So
have been to your planet many times, and we have done some interesting things there, but our side of the planet, or our civilization, is different from those that are the negative Nordic peoples. We are in a more positive path. They are still conquering or trying to conquer other worlds.
So in India, there was a god, and there was god Krishna, and there was Arjuna, the student of Krishna, and a friend of the student, and the servant of Krishna. So Arjuna is thought to be the beginner of the Aryan race on the planet. Is there any connection here? Is Arjuna one of yours?
I am not aware of that, if it is true. That did not make it back to our planet history, but it could be true, because there was many times that we have visited, and many times that we have actually lived on the planet.
Basically, do you have? Are you related to Scandinavians?
We had a relation to Scandinavian peoples, yes. We did in our hybridization reaches in to the Norway and Scandinavian cultures.
Where is it centered?
Where what?
Where is it centered?
Where is it centered?
Yeah, where is the
Most,
most similarity to your race?
I do not know. Probably Switzerland. Or no, Sweden, I mean.
How about Russia?
Russia has some of our people there as well, but we are not as connected in that area as we are in the Scandinavian area and European area.
How about India? Are you genetically similar to some of the Indians?
India is a very different place. We were not, we did not do well in India. It was way too warm and way too humid.
There are Nordic-looking people in many areas, like in Caucasus, in Georgia, Armenia area, there are Nordics. In Tibet, there are Nordic tribes. In India, there are Nordic tribes. Blue-eyed, light skin, light hair. In South America, there are Nordic tribes. Are any of those yours?
Yes, of course, some of them migrated. So I do not know all the different places that you will find the Nordic people, but they are everywhere on your planet because they hybridized with your people.
How about the interaction of Nordics with the U.S. military and U.S. Secret programs?
I cannot hear you.
How about interaction of Nordic people with the United States military people?
There is some interaction there, but it is not as prominent as in other places.
What are the other places where it's prominent?
I would say the most prominent places would be Norway, Sweden, Germany. Also, there is other places where Sweden or Finland is also another, where we are quite populous.
Talking about your current aliens be present at military bases.
A military base?
Military bases, they see aliens, and some of them look like Nords.
Yes. I am sure they are involved in some of that, yes. But that would not be our side of the planet. That would be the more conquering side.
All right. One of the abductees, she said she would rather be abducted by a reptilian rather than by a Nord.
That is probably true. The Nords are cruel and do not care about feelings or treatment of humans. At least they didn't. And reptilians sometimes are kinder when dealing with a hostage situation. A Nord from the crueler side will kill you for one mistake.
Can you tell me a little more about their culture?
They are honor-based. They are power-based. The strongest ones among them are the leaders, not necessarily the smartest, but the smartest ones do take control because they will be around to lead the strongest. So it is a very unusual culture. It is based on who can do the best with what they have. And it's very cruel in the sense that they will kill each other to get to the top.
Sounds like the beginning of Russia in the 8th century.
Possibly.
At the time, Vikings were invited, or it looked like they were invited to rule over Russia. Were the Vikings also the Nordic descent?
Yes, that I do know. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them were from a different heritage of giants and tall. They were the Nephilim that were displaced from India and other places, and they went underground and they used technology to get to the north.
Between Nephilim and Nords.
Yes.
What is the difference between Nephilim and Nords?
The difference is they come from a different heritage. The Nords are from a violent heritage from this planet. The Nephilim were born on your planet through inbreeding with fallen angels or Anunnaki. And then, and they look different. The Vikings were more redheads and dark-haired individuals, whereas the Nords were blonde and lighter haired.
From Nephilim and Vikings. So Vikings were Nephilim?
Some of them.
So they don't look very much different from humans, right?
They looked like humans, but they were bigger.
How much bigger?
Quite a bit, maybe a foot taller.
Oh, okay. Because you know about the huge giants on the planet.
Yes, they were not huge giants, not after several hybridizations, but they were very tall.
Okay. What's the name of your planet?
I will not say that because I do not want anyone to know that.
Is your planet near Taygeta?
Near where?
The star called Taygeta.
My recollection is that we are not that far from there.
What's the name of your star?
I will not say.
Uh-huh.
We are in the Pleiades, though.
Okay.
We have our home in the Pleiades.
I was under the impression that you were in the same solar system as Era and Maya.
They are planets in the Pleiades, but not in the same solar system.
Oh.
We are all in different solar systems, third and fourth planet solar systems. We are the third planet around our sun. Maya is the fourth planet around their sun. Terra is the third planet around their sun. So yes, they're similar, but different suns.
Thank you. So what is that's your part of the planet involved with modern Earth? Are you involved with us?
No, we are not right now involved with anything of Earth.
What's your dimension?
At this point, we are fourth.
How recently did you transcend from this earth?
We have been in fourth dimension for a while, but we can move back to the third dimension if we wish. Back in the age of the Vikings, we were still in third.
How much are you involved in genetic engineering as a culture?
Some. We do some genetic engineering, but there are reasons for that.
For instance,
I did not hear that.
what are the reasons to be involved in genetic engineering?
Greater emphasis on positive gene pools.
My time is over with genes. I have to wrap it up. Thank you very much for the conversation. Would you like to give me your name or your nickname?
Torrman.
Torment or Torman?
Torrman. Torrman.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the conversation. It was a pleasure to learn about your culture.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Hello.
Hey, Jim, welcome back.
Hi. Okay.
Thank you for the session. Are you good 2 weeks from now?
I can't hear you. What?
Thank you for the session. Would you be available 2 weeks from now?
Yes. As far as I know, I will.
Thank you very much. See you then.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.